Hello, my name is Saif, and in this technical English video, we will see the patterns of verbs with ing and infinitive. Here are the contents of the presentation. The most important patterns we will see, and we will finish with a summary. The idea is to understand the different verb patterns and how they work, and to learn some verbs that may be followed by two patterns with or without difference in meaning. And also we will apply some mnemonic strategies to help memorize the list of verbs. Let's start with the pattern verbs plus ing form. The ing form is always used in the verbs that follow the verbs on this list. It's sometimes difficult to memorize a list of verbs in English. That is why I suggest a mnemonic strategy to help you remember. This is a very personal mnemonic strategy that consists of writing like a kind of short story or sentence to remember the verbs of a list. Here you have just one example. We have the verbs in the list in red. Before you avoid a task, consider if you'll dislike it. Otherwise, enjoy and finish the task. Imagine and keep in mind that to practice is what I recommend, or do not regret any risk. That this is what I suggest. This sentence, or your personal sentence that you build with these verbs, can help you remember the list. The examples of this pattern can also help you to understand how this pattern works. For example, with dislike and regret. I dislike using too many data in presentations. I regret not talking to the chief engineer before. The negative form is not plus ing. The next pattern is verbs followed by another verb within to plus infinitive. This is the list of the verbs. Again, we have a possible mnemonic strategy, which is in this case very personal. I made it up, but you can make up your own story or sentence in order to help you remember. Let's see two examples of this pattern. She learned to design circuits when she was a little girl. Or we agreed not to make any further changes to the software. In this case, the negative form is not plus to plus infinitive. Another important pattern is verbs followed by an object plus to plus infinitive. In this case, we have the following verbs and the corresponding personal mnemonic strategy that I used to remember the list. We are going to see two examples of this pattern. The director will invite me to give a talk in the conference. Or, I persuaded him not to modify the original plan. The negative form is object plus not plus to plus infinitive, as we can see in the example. Another pattern is verbs followed by object plus infinitive. In this case, we have these verbs and the mnemonic strategy that you can use. And two examples. The engineer saw a bolt come out of the wheel, or the driver did not hear the engine make a terrible noise. The negative form of this pattern is the verb in negative form, the corresponding verb plus object plus the infinitive. Some verbs can be followed by another verb both in infinitive or ing form. Some verbs can be followed by both patterns with no change in meaning. Here we have this list, and in this case we use different colors to understand the verbs in the list. Hate, like, love, prefer, related to likes and preferences, or start, begin, continue. We began working on the prototype a long time ago. or we began to work on the prototype a long time ago have no difference. The same happens in the second example. I don't like making or to make many software modifications. On the other hand, there are some verbs that can be followed by either of the patterns, infinitive or ing, but with a change in the meaning of the sentence. We have forget and remember, followed by another verb in the ing form. It means that they refer to an event or situation in the past. I'll never forget writing my first novel. Do you remember learning statistics? Whereas if they are followed by to plus infinitive, they refer to something you should do or you should have done. As in the examples, don't forget to switch off the central unit, or please remember to sign when you finish. Regret is another verb that changes in meaning. Followed by ing, it means to feel sorry about something you did or didn't do. I regret not supervising the technical report. Whereas if when followed by to plus infinitive, it normally means to say sorry, particularly in formal letters or contexts. We regret to inform you that the plans were not approved. Another verb that changes in meaning is go on. Followed by ing, it means to continue an activity. We went on walking because we did not see any warning light. Whereas it followed by a to plus infinitive, it means to change from one action to another. After a slow start, she went on to win the race. Something similar happens with stop. Stop followed by ing means to finish an action. Have you stopped practicing now? Whereas followed by to plus infinitive, it means to finish one action in order to do something else. We have to just stop to take a short break. Notice the difference in meaning in the case of stop especially. Try is another example. When followed by ing, it means do something as an experiment. Try turning it off and on again to see if it works. When followed by to plus infinitive, it means to attempt to do something which is difficult. I am not an electrician, but I will try to fix it. Finally, we have the verb mean, followed by ing. It indicates the result of something. The mistake meant phoning every client again. Whereas when followed by to plus infinitive, it indicates an intention to do something. As in the example, I meant to send you the documents, but I forgot. Here is a little table with a summary of some pattern verbs plus ing form. Verbs meaning likes and dislikes, ideas and opinions, actions and that stop, start, stop, and continue, and others. We have in red some verbs that can also be followed by an infinitive, sometimes with a difference in meaning. And here we have some examples. Here we have a summary of the pattern verb plus infinitive in red. And the verbs which are in blue mean that they can also be followed by ing form, sometimes with a difference in meaning. And here in this table and in the last slide, we saw a classification of the verbs according to their meaning, rather than using mnemonic techniques. You can also use this method to help you understand. In conclusion, it's very important to know some important verbs and verb patterns followed by ing and infinitive. And also sometimes tables, lists, and personal mnemotechnic strategies can help you understand, as we have seen in this presentation. Thank you very much, and I hope this was useful for you. Thanks a lot.